Good morning, students. Welcome to Chanakya Academy online classes, Standard 10th, subject Science. Yes, so we have started with chapter number 7, Control and Coordination. And yesterday we did about human brain. So now let's move further and see how control and coordination is taking place in plants. Do they have brain? If not, then what are the different mechanisms they have? Yes, coordination in plants. Animals have a nervous system for controlling and coordinating the activity of body, but plants have neither a nervous system nor a muscles. So how they respond to stimuli? When we touch the leaves of chuchimo, that is sensitive touch me not plant of a mimosa family, they begin to fold up and droop. When a seed germinates, the root goes down and the stem comes into the air. What happens? Okay, so they are telling about that in humans or specifically animals, we have nervous system and we have muscles. So these are the two things that is helping us in controlling and coordinating our activity. But in plants, these things are not there. So how they are doing it? Okay, you must have seen the touch me not plant. Okay, so when we touch them, touch the leaves, it folds itself and it droops down. Okay, and the second thing they are explaining is about the seed germination. When the seeds germinate, roots always go down into the soil and stem always come up into the air. How this is happening? If they don't have any nervous system, if they don't have any brain, how they are thinking and how their work are going on? Yes, firstly, the leaves of the sensitive plants move very quickly in response to touch. There is no growth involved in this movement. On the other hand, the directional movement of a seedling is caused by growth. If it is prevented from growing, it will not show any movement. So plants show two different type of movements. One dependent on growth and the other independent of growth. Okay, so they do not have these two things, but still they are growing, they are showing some movement where the height increases, where the branches increases. So we can see the type of movement in plants, they are of two types. Which are they? Let's see here. One is your plant dependent, sorry, one dependent on growth. Okay, that is depending on growth. Okay, and the second one is independent of growth. The growth is not there. So one is dependent on growth and the other is independent of growth. Immediate response to stimuli. Let us think about the first kind of movement, such as that of sensitive plants. Since no growth is involved, the plant must actually move its leaves in response to touch. Okay, you can see they have shown the diagram. The sensitive plant, that is mimosa. Okay, touch me not plant. So whenever we touch the leaves, it will curl itself. Okay, so what is this? There is no movement, but still the leaf is doing some reaction. Okay, so we can say that here the plant is detecting the touch. Okay, and due to that the leaves are moving, they are responding, they are giving answer into the actions. Okay, so whatever actions, what action we are doing, we are touching the leaf. So what response they will get? They will close their leaves. So that will be their answer. Okay, so if we think about whether exactly the plant is touched and what part of the plant actually moves, it is apparent that movement happens at the point different from the point of touch. Okay, so information that a touch has occurred must be communicated. The plants also use electrical chemical means. Okay, plant is having one very important thing, that is electrical chemical means to convey this information from cell to cell. Okay, now what is happening, we are touching only a part of leaf, but after few seconds you must have seen that all the leaves get closed. So what is happening and how this is happening? Because these plants have an electric chemical means, and through this means they are conveying the information, they are sending the message from one cell to another. But unlike in animals, there is no specialized tissue in plants for the conduction of information. Okay, like what they are saying is that in animals we have nervous system. Okay, and what this nervous system are doing? This nervous system is taking the information from one part to the another part. So it is acting like a channel, it is acting like a tube which is conducting the information. But in plants we do not have the specialized tissue. Okay, so this conduction is not taking place from a specialized tissue. Finally, again, as in animals, some cells must change shape in order for movement to happen. Instead of the specialized protein found in animal muscle cells, plant cells change shape by changing the amount of water in them, resulting in swelling or shrinking. Okay, so what they are telling is they are doing one more thing which is very interesting, is that according to the water content, okay, according to the amount of water, they are changing their shape. Okay, either they are shrinking or they are swelling. And as this is there, that is the water movement is there, and as the water is moving, swelling and shrinking is taking place. So we can say a change in shape is taking place. Okay, this is not movement exactly, but this is changing the shape of that particular cells. Okay. Yes, now let's see movement due to growth. Some plants like the pea plant climb up other plants or fence by means of tendrils. Okay, you have seen they are the climbers. So they need the support of some other organism, some other plants. These tendrils are sensitive to touch. When they come in contact with any support, the part of the tendril in contact with the object do not grow as rapidly as the part of tendril away from the object. Okay, so if any object is near this tendril, they will not grow. Okay, and if they are far away from, they will grow. Okay, this causes the tendril to circle around the object and thus cling to it. Okay, so whatever objects which is near to them, they will hold their object by clinging it. Okay, most commonly plant responds to stimuli slowly by growing in a particular direction. Because this growth is directional, it appears as if the plant is moving. Okay, so it is having some directions, so we can say that it is moving, the plant is moving. Let us understand this type of movement with the help of an example. Let's see the example they have shown. Yes, see this figure 7.5, which you see, what they are doing is, from one side of the window the sun rays are coming, on this jar. Okay, so this we can say that the direction of light, okay, in whichever direction the light is, the tree or the plant will move into that direction only. Okay, if we are giving the sunlight on this direction, okay, then the plant will grow in this direction. So always the plant will face the sun rays and the direction they will change. So with this we can say that they are moving into the direction of light. Okay, here also you can see the roots, how they are going deep inside the soil, so they are going towards earth. Okay, and we can say they are positive geotrophism. And the stem, they are moving in opposite direction, so we can say that it is negative geotrophic. So environmental triggers such as light or gravity will change the direction that plants grow in. So always the stem, it will be opposite to that of gravity, so it will be negative geotrophic. Okay, and roots, they will be having positive geotrophic. Okay, so in two different kinds of phototrophic movement, shoot responds by bending towards light while root responds by bending away from it. Okay, so root, as you know, they do not require sunlight. Okay, so they will be always in opposite direction, but plants, specifically leaves and stems, they will move or they will bend towards the light. Okay, so this, by with this experiment we can say that the movement of plant is taking place. Okay, plants show tropism in response to another stimulus as well. The roots of the plant always grow down while the shoot usually grow upward and always from the earth. This upward and downward growth of shoot and root respectively in response to the pull of the earth or gravity is obviously geotrophism. Okay, this I have explained you. So what is geotrophism? Geo means gravity of the earth. Okay, so we have the gravity of, and the root will always go towards the gravity, that is towards the center of the earth. So as it will go towards the center, or we can say it is moving down. Okay, and it will be response to the pull of the earth, so we called it as positive geotrophism. Whereas the stem, they will always move in opposite direction of the gravity, so it is negative geotrophism. If hydro means water and chemo refers to chemical, that would hydrotrophism or chemotrophism means. Can we think of example of these kind of directional growth movement? Okay, so there are some chemical also which are required. Okay, now see, roots always absorb water, so root will go into that direction where the water content is more. So in that we can say it will show hydrotrophism, where water, the movement of root towards the water will be seen. Okay, and chemotrophism means chemicals, some chemicals will be required too. So according to this chemicals, the root can also move into that direction. Okay, some other examples of chemotrophism is also there, that is the growth of pollen tube towards the ovary. Okay, about which we will learn more when we examine the reproductive processes of the living organisms. Okay, so the pollen tubes, the pollen grains, they are dusted on the female reproductive part. Okay, so pollen tube will go towards the ovary, so there will be some chemical reaction, some reaction which will go, and this will allow the pollen tube to elongate and move towards ovules. Okay, let us now once again think about how information is communicated in the body of multicellular organisms. The movement of the sensitive plant in response to touch is very quick. Okay, whenever we are responding, it need to be very quick. The movement of sunflower in response to day or night, on the other hand, is quite slow. Growth related movement of plants will be even slower. Okay, even in animal bodies, there are carefully controlled direction to growth. Our arms and fingers grow in certain direction, not haphazardly. Okay, that means whenever our body is growing, okay, when we are growing in our height, the arms and legs they have a direction. A certain direction is there, and they will take that direction only. They will not be disturbed. So this is a control movement. So control movement can be either slow or fast. If fast response to stimulate are to be made, information transfer must happen very quickly. For this, the medium of transmission must be able to move rapidly. Okay, so this can be faster or this can be slower. If it has to be faster response, okay, then the stimulus are to be made very quickly. Okay, and the transfer of information, that is the information which is transferred, it should be very quickly. Okay, and whatever rapidly we will do, rapidly we will get the answer. Okay, yes, let's move further. Electrical impulse are an excellent means for this, but there are limitations to the use of electric impulse. Okay, so everywhere we are not using electrical impulse. First, they will reach only those cells that are connected by the nervous tissue. Okay, not each and every cell in the animal body. So only specific animal tissues or specific cells will have these nerve connections. Secondly, once an electric impulse is generated in a cell and transmitted, the cell will take some time to reset its mechanism before it can generate and transmit a new impulse. In other words, cell cannot continually create and transmit electric impulses. It is thus no wonder that most multicellular organisms use another means of communication between cells, namely chemical communications. Okay, so each and every time we are not using electrical impulses, and second thing, these electric impulses are not connecting to all the cells, they are connected to some cells only. Okay, so if we want to generate an impulse or transmit a new impulse, then we will create and transmit it by using an electrical impulse. And secondly, we can use another mechanism also, and that mechanism is chemical communication. Okay, and this chemical communication will not require any nerves. Chemically, it will be transmitting the information. Understood? First transmission how we will do? By nerves. Okay, that is from the nerves the message will be transported, the reflex arc which we saw. Okay, and this reflex arc what it will do? It will transmit. But second communication is your chemical communication, where the nerves are not present. Through chemical reactions, this message will be sent. Okay, if instead of generating an electric impulse, stimulated cell release a chemical compound, this compound would diffuse all around the original cell. If other cells around have the means to detect this compound using special molecules on the surface. Okay, so how exactly this chemical communication is functioning. What it is doing is stimulate cell release a chemical response. It will get a stimulus. Okay, so your cell will get a stimulus, and this compound will diffuse all around the original cells. Okay, they will release some chemicals, and these chemicals will directly diffuse to the neighboring cells. If another cell around have the means to detect the compound using special molecules on their surface, then they would be able to recognize information. So if that adjacent cell can detect it, so it will detect and recognize the information, and after that it will transmit it. This will be slower, of course, but it can potentially reach all cells of the body. Okay, so see, nervous communication, it is not reaching to each and every cell, but this chemical reaction, they are reaching to each and every cell. They will be transported from one cells to another cells, and like this all the message will be transported to each and every parts. These compounds or hormones used by multicellular organisms for control and coordination show a great deal of diversity as we would expect. Different plant hormones help to coordinate growth, development, and response to the environment. They are synthesized at place away from where they act and simply diffuse to the area of action. Okay, now what they are telling about is they are telling about one thing which is helping in chemical communication, and what that is the hormones. Okay, and what these hormones are doing, these hormones carry the message from one area to another area. Okay, and they are, that is, the hormones are synthesized at one place. Okay, the synthesis, that is formation, will take place at one area, and where they will act, the action will take place in another area, and simple diffuse to another actions. Okay, so the chemical messenger, we can call it as hormones. Yes, let's move further. Let us take an example that we have worked with earlier. When growth plant detect light, a hormone called auxin. So auxin is what, students? Auxin is your growth hormone in plants. Okay, they are talking about hormone auxin, and what it is doing, synthesized at the shoot tip, helps the cell to grow longer. Okay, so what it is doing, it is going into that region where the shoot tip need to grow, because it will increase in size, it will increase in height. So there should be some chemical which gives the message to shoot tip to continue to divide and increase. So it is auxin. Okay, so auxin is the hormone. Okay, auxin is what? Auxin is a hormone synthesized at the shoot tips and help the cell to grow longer. Okay, when light is coming from one side of the plant, auxin diffused towards the shady side of the shoot. Okay, so it will always move into opposite direction, opposite to light. Okay, so when the light is coming from one side of the plant, okay, auxin diffuse towards the shady side. Okay, this concentration of auxin stimulate the cells to grow longer. Okay, so more auxin or more concentration of auxin is there, then the cell will grow very faster and it will increase in their height. Okay, so the concentration of auxin stimulates the cell to grow longer on the side of the shoot which is away from light. Thus the plant appears to bend towards light. Okay, so with this they are bending towards the opposite direction. Okay, so just underline these few lines before going. That is a plant, that is a growing plant will have a hormone which is auxin, and it is synthesized at the shoot tube. Okay, and the concentration of auxin stimulate the cells to grow longer on the side of shoot which is away from light. Understood? Another example of plant hormone are gibberellin, which like auxin help in the growth of plants. So auxin and gibberellin, two of them will help the plant to grow. Okay, so you must be knowing that the plant are continuously growing and they are increasing in length. So this is because of the hormone auxin and gibberellin. Now come to the third hormone, that is cytokinin, promotes cell division and is a natural, then that they are present in greater concentration in areas of rapid cell division such as in fruits and seeds. So we have three main hormones till now we have studied. Auxin, okay, the first one we studied about auxin, then gibberellin and cytokinins. So what the cytokinin are doing? They are promoting the cell division. Okay, cell division means cell will divide. One cell will divide into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 16, like this. They are dividing, and as they are dividing, the height of a stem or height of a plant is increasing. Now come to the next one. These are the example of plant hormones that help in promoting growth. So growth is promoted. We know that fruits and seeds are the part of plants only. So first they will increase in their height, and after some years they will start developing fruits and seeds. So all this process requires a growth hormone, and it is called as promoting hormones. Okay, but plant also need signals to stop growing. Aspartic acid is one example of hormones which inhibits growth. This its effect includes wilting of leaves. Okay, see. Now you know that the plant is increasing. What we are telling is that the auxin is being continuously produced, and as the auxin is produced, these auxin will help the plant to increase in length. Okay, but we know that to a certain height only the plant will grow. Then the branches starts to emerge. So we can say here that there will be one hormone which will be called as abscisic acid. Okay, what is the name of that hormone? Abscisic acid. And what this hormone will do? This hormone will inhibit growth. Okay, so we have two types. One is promoting growth, that is auxin, gibberellin and cytokinin, and we have inhibits growth, which is your abscisic acid. And what it will do? It will stop the growth of the plant so that the height doesn't increase to more. Okay, so its effect include wilting of leaves. That means leaves turn yellow. It tries to shrink and it will come down from the plant. Okay, so if the leaves are shedding more in the plant, just know that it is having abscisic acid concentration more. Understood? So we have just finished with how control and coordination mechanism is taking place in plants. Okay, how they are producing the chemical response and how these chemical response are ultimately leading to growth. Okay, so these chemical requirements are what? Your hormones. And we have studied about four hormones. Three were promoting and one were inhibiting. Okay. So with this I end today's lecture. Thank you and have a nice day.